And today's topic is spending to get rich. So the 20 lessons I learned from the book are as follows. First lesson, when going gets tough, what most people do is they cut back on their expenses rather than spend. And the number one reason why people fail to acquire and maintain wealth is because people cut back on expenses rather than spending. So let me give an example on this. That's lesson. This example shows particularly in the world of business. So what happens in business when the company's sales goes down, the first action of the business owner is they cut back on expenses. And one of their expenses is the spend on advertisement and promotion. And when businesses cut back on their advertisement and promotion, what happens now is they have decrease in sales. And so when you have decrease in sales, you have less revenue. And so the problems get worse. And that's what Robert Kiyosaki means, that a lot of times when people get stuck, they cut back on their expenses rather than spend. Now, lesson number 2. The number one sign of having a high financial IQ is 2 things. First, they know when to spend. And second, they know when to cut back. So for this example, Robert and Kim, they were financially in trouble in the beginning when they were not wealthy. And what they did was they focused their energy to increase their sales, to increase their marketing, to increase their promotion. And they spent their time, their money, and energy in increasing income. They do not cut back on expenses. All their energy, all they focus on was increasing their income. Lesson number 3, budgeting is a very important process, and we have to take it one day at a time. It's all about progression and not perfection. Lesson number 4, Robert and Kim, instead of fighting about money, what they did was they discussed and created about money, and they discussed and learned about themselves, especially during this hard time. And this did not happen overnight. 5th lesson, a very important lesson that Rich Dad passed on to Robert is that financial problem is a resource, especially if we solve our problems, if we use it as a resource and opportunities to learn. This will create a budget surplus. Lesson number 7. The lesson Rich Dad taught Robert was that financial intelligence was really about being resourceful. This is the word, being resourceful, especially when you start out in the beginning, when things are hard. When you become resourceful, you turn your problems into opportunities. Rich Dad of Robert Kiyosaki said, "When I was a kid, I was poor. I am rich today because I saw being poor as an opportunity to become resourceful." And this, in turn, is a very important resource for God, who gave me to use it to become rich. So being poor, being born poor, was an opportunity, a blessing in disguise, because that made him very resourceful. And in turn, it made him very wealthy. 8th lesson, there are 2 types of debt. We have the bad debt and the good debt. Good debt makes us wealthy or rich. This means somebody else pays off our bills for us. Bad debt makes us poor because we pay for the expense, the bills ourselves. Now, when we have money, we should pay ourselves first. But majority of the times, money makes people do goofy things. And goofy things means people start to buy with their money now to buy big homes, luxury homes. Now, when you have big homes, you need to furnish it with luxury furnitures. And what do people use? They use credit cards to pay the bills. And now, some people, they have to tap into their home equity to pay for those credit card bills, especially if you amass a lot of those bad debt. So this is an example of taking a bad situation and making things worse. These people are creating a budget deficit. Lesson number 10. It is a very serious problem today, and a very serious problem is creating excessive bad debt. Because why? It's taking money out of our own pocket. Lesson number 11. The number one way to become rich is to see bad debt as an opportunity, as a resource to make us richer and not poorer. Lesson number 12. If bad debt is holding us back, we ourselves may be our own worst enemy. Lesson number 13. When people borrow bad debt to solve problems, problems get worse. It gets bigger. Lesson number 14. Financial IQ. Let me just inform us what the other 4 financial IQ, to remind us what they were, because we've talked about it long time ago, and this is a refresher. There were 4 financial IQ. So financial IQ number 1 is to make more money. Financial IQ number 2 is protecting our money. Financial IQ number 3 is budgeting our money. So in this particular topic of the book, financial IQ number 3, which is budgeting our money, is like financial IQ number 1, which is making more money, because they are measured in percentage. The percent of the income that goes to our asset column. Lesson number 15. So if we plan to take 30% of our income, and that is hard. So why 30%? 30% is broken down into 3 things: saving, tithing, investing. We put 10% into saving, 10% into tithing, and 10% into investing. So if taking 30% of our income is hard, we should start to consider taking 3%. So that means 1% goes into saving, 1% goes into tithing, 1% goes into investing. So for example, if we earn $1,000, instead of taking 30% or $300, we should instead consider taking 3% and that's $30 going into the asset column. Now, if we remember the income statement, we have the income and we have the expense. Now, with the income statement, we need to balance it with a balance sheet. The balance sheet or the balance statement comprises of assets and liabilities. So for example, we earn $1,000. We take 3% of that as our budget to create the budget surplus. So we take 3% immediately. We pay ourselves 3% by putting it into the expense. So that's $30. So that when we do the balance sheet, that $30 goes into our assets. So this is the saving, the tithing, the investing. So we have that in our assets now. Lesson number 16. If this 3% makes life harder, that is good. A hard life is good. It is good, especially if it makes us resourceful. Lesson number 17.